First of all, I'd just like to say that tonight's shir is going to be the Ilui Neshama Riva Chaya Bas Stella, and in the merit of the Torah learned tonight, we hope and we pray that her neshama should have an aliyah b'shamayim. I'd also like to say that I'd like to give the shir tonight in the schus for all the members of the Israeli Defense Forces who are on the border right now of Gaza, and some have actually entered into Gaza. And the schus of the Torah and inspiration that I hope that you will receive tonight, B'ezrat Hashem, it should be a schus and merit for the safety and security and the accomplishment of the mission of the Jewish Israeli Defense Forces. So thank you for having me here tonight in Brooklyn. Usually I lecture around in Queens, and it's a pleasure to come down here tonight and see what's happening in Brooklyn. You have a beautiful synagogue. I got the tour, and it's a pleasure to be here and to speak to everybody tonight. And tonight I'm going to speak to you about a topic which I think when you investigate it carefully, and we'll begin to do it tonight, I think we're going to discover that it might be one of the greatest proofs that we have for the fact that the Torah is a document that was given from above. And perhaps it's a big statement, but we'll try to flesh out that statement as we go along tonight. The name of this lecture is The Secrets of the Hebrew Language, the DNA of Creation. And we'll explain what that will mean in a moment. Before we do, I'd just like to speak a little bit about language in general. You know, in English, we have a language, but the reality is the words that we use don't really mean anything of great significance. For example, if you know the answer to this, please don't say it. My socks are made out of what? My socks are made out of nylon. Who could tell me why they're made out of nylon? Chemistry majors? Who knows why it's called nylon? PAs, biologists, come on. Who's in the sciences? Who is in the sciences? Who is studying the sciences? Who here has ever taken a course in science? You see, if you've never taken a course in science, you become a rabbi. But this I do know. Who can tell me why it's called nylon? Good. Why is it called nylon? Because it was created by the DuPont Chemical Company, and the DuPont Chemical Company happens to have an office in New York and London. So my socks are called nylon. Okay? Any real meaning in that? Nope. You know, if we look at the, where would it be? The cord, or even, well, we had an overhead projector, or that cord over there. See the cord against the wall, the cord that holds like the wiring? Does anybody know what that cord is made out of? What's it made out of? Say again? Actually, it's made out of bakelite. Bakelite. Yeah, made out of bakelite. Who can explain to me why bakelite is called bakelite? Bakelite is oftentimes the electrical cords that we use in projectors or in cameras and things like that. Who knows why it's called bakelite? It's called the back and it's light. Okay, good. Something a little more technical. Someone who's in the sciences, a little more technical.
Something to do with nylon?
Oh, good guess. Something to do with some chemical. Yeah. Would you be surprised if I told you that it was created by Dr. Joseph P. Bakelite? So he named it after himself. Is there any real meaning in that? No, the language is random. I'm going to suggest something to you right now. That every language out there, and there are 70 of them, have no intrinsic meaning except one language, the Hebrew language. And the Hebrew language is called Lashon HaKodesh. Kodesh means different, distinct, unique. There's no other language like it in the world. However, there's one language that's similar. Who knows what language that is? Who said Russian? Anyone says Bukharian? No, it's not Bukharian. Okay, it's not Bukharian. Aramaic is a sister language. It's a sister language. Aramaic is a sister language. You know? Yiddish. Yiddish. No, not Yiddish. Good guess, though. Good guess. Who knows what language I'm talking about?
The Gemara language.
Language Gemara is Aramaic. There's one language that the Hebrew language is similar to. It's this language right here. It's called the chemical language. For example, if I were to write on the board H2O, what do you know about H2O?
Water.
It's water. And what does it contain? Two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen. Or if I were to write NaCl, Sodium chloride. In other words, these letters actually describe the essence of what's there. You will know the properties of water, exactly its atomic quality, by that symbol. However, why we chose to call it hydrogen, why we choose oxygen, why we choose sodium, why we choose chloride, that is random. We can call it whatever we want, but it is getting a little bit descriptive about what's there. Now, the Hebrew language is completely different. Why? Because what we believe, and which is a tenet of Judaism, fundamental, is that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when Hashem created the world, He created it through speech. In fact, the first act of creation was the Hebrew language. Where do we see that? The Zohar tells us, listen carefully. Bereshit, bara, Elokim, what's the next two letters? Et. Hashemayim va'aretz. The Zohar says, Bereshit bar Elokim, in the beginning God created et, aleph through taf. And with the aleph through taf, the Hebrew language, He created the rest of creation. That means God created the letters, He spoke the letters, and by speaking the letters, the thing formed. That's why in Hebrew, by the way, what's the word for thing? Davar. What's the word for word? Davar. You know, God, you have an infinite imagination. Couldn't you thought of two different words, one for thing and one for word? Why is it the exact same word in the Holy Tongue? Because when God spoke it became the thing. So now listen what this means, and this is the theory. That means if we were to know the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and we know their meaning, and we understood reality, we could construct this language. Let me say that again. If we were to know the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and we were to understand what something really is, we could construct the language. Because God created everything very specifically, not randomly. He took letters and He formed them. So if you know the meaning of those letters, and you know what something is, you will say it's logical, this is what it has to be. But God made it easy for us. What did He do? He gave us the 22 letters, He gave us the language, and so when we analyze it, you know what? We can discover all the secrets of reality. We can discover all the secrets. Everything you want to know about everything can be understood by simply analyzing the language, analyzing the letters. And that's what I'm going to do with you right now. Now, first thing, we have to know what a letter means. How do we know what a letter means? We have four sources. Source number one is actually very simple. It's the meaning of the letter. Aleph. What does Aleph mean? It means the champion, the great one. Beit, bite is a house. Gimel, gamal, camel. Dalet, delet, door, etc. The meaning of the letter gives us one reference point. Second thing we have is the shape of the letter. We're going to look at it in a moment in the Aleph. We'll see the shape of the letter is very important. Each letter is composed of other letters. Another way we understand a letter is the sound gives us insight. Another insight has to do with the numerical value. We know that each of the letters has a numerical value, not only a letter. And finally, a very interesting source is that the first time a letter begins the root of a word in the Torah, that word will teach you the meaning of the letter. For example, where does the base begin the root of a word in the Torah? Who can tell me? Well, Bereshit is not a root. It means in. That's a preposition. Where does it begin the root of a word? Bara, create. It's going to have something to do with a base, a house, creation. Okay? We'll talk more about that. But those are our clues. Clue number one is always going to be the meaning of the letter. Clue number two is going to be the shape of the letter, the sound of the letter. The Gemara speaks also about the meaning of letters. And the fourth is going to be the first time the letter appears in the Torah. Okay, so let's begin. And let's start with this letter over here. A good place to begin is with the Aleph. Let's analyze the Aleph and see if we can understand this, one of these primary building blocks of creation. You know, I should mention, why do I call this lecture, by the way, the DNA of creation? What does the DNA describe for us? It describes everything you need to know about the person, doesn't it? You open up the DNA, and you can tell me exactly what that person looks like in all shapes and colors. You open up the Hebrew language, you can see reality perfectly. I'm going to show you what I mean. This letter Aleph, let's analyze it. Whenever we see an Aleph in any word in the Hebrew language, it's always going to have something to do with who? With the Almighty. With Hashem. Well, let's see. What's the numerical value of Aleph? Numerical value is? 1. Good. Let's see another clue that we have that's always going to have something to do with Hashem. You know, if you look at the Aleph, the shape of the Aleph, you'll notice that it's composed of actually 3 letters over here. A Yud, and a Vav. Let's do a little numerical analysis. What's the numerical value of Yud? 10. Good. Numerical value of Vav? 6. Someone add that together for me. What do you get? 26. What word in Hebrew has a numerical value of 26? How about this word right here? Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, which means God. Yud is 10, Hey is 5, Vav is 6, Hey is 5. Someone add that across for me. What do you get? 26. So another hint that we have, that the Aleph always has to do with something about God. Question. First time we see the Aleph at the beginning of a word in the Torah. What word is that? Bereshit, well, a root word. Bereshit, bara, Elokim. What does Elokim mean? God. First time we see it in the Torah, it spells Elokim. Another hint that we know that it means God. Okay? You know, I'm just going to point something out to you. Aleph numerically is 1. How do you say 1,000 in Hebrew? How do you say it? Aleph. Aleph. Aleph means 1. Aleph means 1,000. It's the exact same word. Could someone explain that to me? God, listen, you have an infinite imagination. Couldn't you have thought of 2 words? One for 1 and one for 1,000? You have to use the same word, Aleph, Aleph? What's the connection? What's the connection? What's that? You know, 1,000. What? Yeah, go.
Could it, I'm not sure.
Well, how are you doing? How are you doing?
Could there possibly be some similarity to the number 1 and the number 1 with a bunch of zeros?
Saying good. You're saying something important. I'll tell you a story that one time I was giving a lecture, and it was about 11:30 at night, and I had a headache. I felt really tired. I got a call from my wife, and she says, you know, we had a student of mine. Unfortunately, she got caught up with Christian missionaries. And she said that she and her priest are by the house, and she's ready to talk. She brought the priest with her. And I said, oh gosh, you know, it's like 11:45 at night, you know. I said, you know, I'm really not like up to this right now. My wife's like, well, I don't know, they're here. What should I do with them? You know, I feel so bad for my wife, by the way. You know, like, you know, she ended up marrying like a Kiruv guy, a Kiruv rabbi. So my wife's from a nice religious family. You know, she's not used to like priests coming to her home at midnight. Like, so I said, look, just I don't know, make tea or something, you know, until I get there. So I get there, and I walk in. And I remember the guy's name was Don. Nice guy, very sweet guy. He says to me, Rabbi, we sit down at the table. My wife serves tea, you know. I'm trying to think, what am I going to say to this guy? This girl is like listening, wants to hear like, you know, who has the truth over here. And I'm like, my head is pounding, and I'm thinking like just asking Hashem for some help over here. So he says to me, Rabbi, you know the Hebrew language very well, don't you? I said, I know a little bit. He said, you know, Rabbi, Aleph, it means 1. Aleph means 1,000. Now, Aleph always has to do with God, doesn't it? So therefore, doesn't it make sense, therefore, that you could perhaps divide God up into different pieces? Perhaps the Father, the Son, and the Holy Toast? That was his opening attack. So I said to him, Don, you know, you have to be polite. You know, a polite person. My head is killing me. But Hashem put this one into my head. I said, Don, let me explain something to you. You look out in the world, and what do you see? Let's take a look. Analyze things for a moment. You know, that we know that there's a force in the world called the sun. Right? 93 million miles away. It's perfectly located in the exact position to give the exact amount of heat to the universe and to the world. What does it do? It beats down on the world. And as a result, it causes the evaporation of water. The water then rises up. And another force kicks in. A force called the wind. And the wind blows the water together and forms clouds. But most of this evaporation takes place over the ocean, because that's where most of the water is. So the wind then has to utilize another force and blow the wind back over the land. And then another force kicks in called gravity. And gravity brings down the rain in the perfect proportion so it doesn't flood the earth, but allows the earth just the amount of nutrient, of water that it needs to sustain life. And then what happens, the water mixes in with all of the things in the soil, and guess what? A seed dissolves, and from the depth of the seed comes up a plant. A plant produces a fruit. I said, Don, let me ask you a question. Are all of those individual gods that are causing each of those occurrences? Is there a wind god and a sun god and a gravity god and a soil god? He said, Rabbi, that's ridiculous. So I said to him, well, isn't it possible that our job in life is to look at all the thousands of forces in the world and realize there's one commanding force? And therefore, wouldn't it make perfect sense that the same letter that means one would mean 1,000? That we're to look at the multiplicity of all the forces in the world and see the unity? That's what I said to him, and I had such a headache. It was major divine assistance in that one. But that's why it means it, of course. That's why the word for Aleph means Aleph and Aleph are the same word. Question? What?
Aleph is also not value of 111.
Oh, good. Good. Okay, well, smarter than me. Here we go. So let's take just a little numerical value over here. Let's take a look over there. Sorry to erase. So let's look at the Aleph, go a little deeper in the Aleph. If you look at the Aleph, and if you were to spell it out, you'd spell it out like this. Aleph, Lamed, Pei. It's interesting. Again, it all has to do with the oneness of God. What's the numerical value of Aleph? 1. Numerical value of Lamed? 30. Numerical value of Pei? 80. Someone add that across for me. What do you get? 111. 1, 1, 1. The Aleph always brings you back to the oneness of God. You could see thousands of forces, but only one God. Let's go a little deeper into the Aleph. I want to prove to you without a doubt that the Aleph always means God. Always means that connection with the supernal. How do you pronounce an Aleph? Let me see the good pronunciation of an Aleph. Someone pronounce an Aleph for me.
Aleph.
No, that's if you put a chametz under it. A patach or a chametz. Come, give me a pronunciation of an Aleph. Oh, no.
Go ahead.
Aleph, that's you pronounce the pei at the end. Pronounce the Aleph for me. Somebody. What?
Aleph.
Oh, yeah. Pronounce a base for me. Sometimes a bait. Pronounce a bait. What's the sound of a bait? Buh. What's the sound of a gimel? Go back to the Aleph. What's the sound of an Aleph? That's if you put a vowel underneath it. Listen to my Aleph. Listen carefully. I'll say it again. Did you hear it? It's silent. It has no pronunciation. There's no sound. Because the Aleph is always that transitional letter between this world and the spiritual. Just like the spiritual, you can't get your hands around it, there's no sound. The Aleph has no sound. You have to give it a vowel. Without a vowel, there's no sound. Let me say it again. Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. No, then you gave it a vowel. Say it again. There you go. No sound. Because it represents the connection between this world and the spiritual. Totally spiritual. But go a little deeper with it. Let's take a look at the words themselves. Aleph, what does it mean? Numerically it means 1, but what does it mean, aluf? In the Hebrew, aluf means a champion. Someone who's strong, the strong one. Like, for example, the aluf is the general in the army. Aleph also means, ilef, also means wisdom. There's beautiful descriptions of God. Number 1, He is the one of all power. He's the aluf. And number 2, He's the ilef. He's the one who provides wisdom. It's interesting. Every letter will always reflect 2 things. One way God relates to the world in general, and one way He relates to mankind. because mankind is the purpose of creation. To the world, he is the all-powerful one. But to the human being, he is the Elef, the teacher of wisdom. Now, isn't it beautiful? If you look at the three letters that spell Aleph, watch this. Aleph means Hashem, the teacher, the powerful one. What does Lamed mean? Lamed means to lilmod, to teach. What does Peh mean? The mouth. Hashem teaches. He teaches the mouth. He transfers his wisdom to us by the vehicle of the mouth. How did he communicate to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai? Through the mouth. How do we communicate to each other? With the mouth. How do we teach wisdom? With the mouth. Again, we see everything we know about God in the way he relates to man. Aleph Lamed Peh. God teaches wisdom with the mouth. Now there's another thing you can learn about God to that Aleph. Here's the question to everybody. Question. Is God all powerful? Yes. Is God all knowing? Yes. Is God all loving? Is God, we said it, he's all knowing, he's all powerful, and he's all about love. True? Good. Explain the Holocaust to me. Explain the homicide bombers in Yerushalayim to me. Explain little children dying of cancer to me. He's all loving. How's it a manifestation of your love? He's all knowing. He knows about it. He's all powerful. He could stop it. Explain it to me, somebody.
If not for that, I'm not sure your word.
Tell me, if you were to spell this word backwards, what would it spell? If you put the Peh first, the Lamed second, the Aleph, what does that spell, somebody?
Pele.
Pella. What does Pella mean in Hebrew? Pella means a wonder. It's a wonder. Amazement. Pella, I'm amazed. Because you have to know something. In your relationship with God, you're going to have to appreciate something. There's always going to be something that you don't know. Something is always going to be a pella, a wonder. If you think you're going to know God completely, you're barking up the wrong tree. And I'll tell you a secret. If you really want to love God, you're going to have to love what you don't know about God. Because just like I have to love what I don't know about my wife. You know what I really love about my wife? I'll tell you a secret. Turn off the camera. What I really love about my wife is not what I know about her. It's what I don't know about her. In other words, if I'm going to love my wife based on what I know, who am I really loving? I'm really loving me. My mind's perception. But what I have to love about my wife is what I don't understand. It's when she tells me to go to the store to buy organic broccoli, and it's 3 times the price, and organic collard greens, and it looks ridiculous, but she wants it because she wants it. What I don't understand, that's where love really begins, isn't it? With God, it's the same thing. Hashem says, I want you to love me, but not what you understand about me, because that's loving you. If you want to love God, you got to love what you don't understand about me. You're going to have to accept the fact that there's always going to be pella, wonder, amazement. And you know what? What you don't understand, you're going to have to trust. You're going to have to trust. You're going to have to use your heart to go beyond your mind. And that's why, I'll tell you a secret, my friends. When we daven twice a day and we put our hands over our eyes, when we say, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, hear is with the Lord our God, the Lord is one, meaning God, you are the source of everything. You are the source of all the goodness in my life, and you are the source of all the difficulty and pain. But you know what? What do we do with our hands? We put them over our eyes. Why? To show that where our minds can't go, we're going to have to let our hearts go. God, I'm in the dark right now. I don't always see it. It's a pellet to me. But I'm going to have to let my heart feel where my mind can't understand. So you have to appreciate that. But look how beautifully it fits into the letter. Aleph means God. It's Elokim. It has the gematria 26. It means the champion. It means the teacher. It means Aleph Lamed Peh, the one who teaches the mouth wisdom. And if you spell it backwards, of course, what do you see? Pella, wonder. All the different aspects of God. Okay. Now with this as a foundation, let's look at a few words that contain an Aleph And let's see if we can understand a little bit about the essence of what that word is. Let's begin with a very important word and a very important part of our life. Let's look at the human being. Let's look at you and let's look at me. How do you say a person in Hebrew? Adam. Like my Hebrew? Nah, I don't know. Sorry. Okay. Adam. Question. Look at that 3-letter root. If you looked at H2O, you would know that contains 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen. Tell me what you know about a human being. Adam means a human being. What can you tell me about a human being by looking at those 3 letters?
Yes, blood.
What? Yes, what? What do we see? What do we see? Oh, so let's look. First thing we see, we know what the human being has there's an aleph. What does aleph represent? What's the main aspect of who we are? Are we bodies with souls? Or are we souls with bodies? We're souls with bodies, aren't we? The essence of who we are is not the part of us that's going to decay and rot and go to the ground. The essence of who we are is the aleph, the image of God. The fact we're all created with Tselem Elokim. Right? Tell me another part of the human being. What else do you see just by looking over here? What do you learn about the human being? What? Blood. Dam means blood. The second thing you got to know about you and I is that we're physical. We have bodies. And we got to take care of the body. Yeah.
Also, let's face it, the dumb part of it.
Yeah. What? The dam. There's blood. There's blood.
I meant the English word dumb.
Oh, they were dumb. Okay. Good question. We'll point that in a second. Dam. Why is blood, by the way, the perfect description of the physical part of who we are? Why is blood the perfect description of our physicality? Question. If we were to lay out our blood vessels, head to toe, head to toe, head to toe, how many miles of blood vessels do we have in the human body? Who can tell me? How many miles of blood vessels do we have?
Enough to go around the world 3 times.
3 times, exactly right. 113,000 miles of blood vessels in the human body. 113,000 miles of blood vessels in our bodies. So what are we? We're spiritual and we are physical. So, beautiful. If I decide I'm going to go off on a mountain somewhere and pray, and I'm not going to get married, I'm not going to have children, I'm not going to be involved with friends, I'm just going to eat, bread and drink water and wear some sort of loincloth, am I going to be happy? Why not? Because I forgot about this part of who I am, that I'm physical. But supposing I say, listen, I'm going to be physical. I'm going to eat 1 slice of pizza, 2 slices of pizza, 3 slices of pizza, 4 slices of pizza, 5 slices of pizza. Am I going to be happy? I'm going to be sick. But if I combine my aleph with my dam, if I integrate the spiritual with the physical beautifully, I can have a really meaningful life. In fact, our rabbis tell us, when you make a blessing on your food, you enjoy the food more. You know why? Because food tastes better when you appreciate it. It's a gift. When my daughter bakes me chocolate chip cookies, the chocolate chip cookies can taste terrible, but I love it. You know why? Because it's from her. When I make that blessing on pizza, it might not be great pizza, but God, it's from you. It's a gift from you to me. You enjoy it more. You combine the spiritual and the physical. What else can we learn? Well, by the way, Don, we say there are 3 partners of creation. There's your father, your mother, and of course God. Who provides the blood in the body? Father. Mother and father. Dam, what's the numerical of Daled? 4. Numerical value of Mem? 40. That's 44, right? What's the word for mother in Hebrew? Em. Good. What's the word for father in Hebrew? Ab. Good. Let's do a little numerical analysis. Aleph is what? 1. Mem is 40. That's 41. Ab. Aleph is 1. Base is 2. That's 3. Someone add that together for me. What do you get? 44. That's interesting because that's the same numerical value as Dam. Oh, nice coincidence. But let's go deeper. Take a look over here. What if I were to ask you, what makes the human being a human being? What is it? It's the fact that we really have an image of God inside of us. True? That's what makes you special and me special. And in fact, it says that if I were to remove the aleph, take the aleph away over here, I'd be left with dam. Dam happens to be the same root in Hebrew as nidam. Nidam means death, dead. Dam means domeh, similar. Our blood is almost similar. You might have type A, might have type B, whatever it is, but it's similar. The physical parts of us are almost exactly the same. What makes you different from me and me different from you, and all of you different from each other, is that we have different souls. And each soul was brought here for a purpose, and you got to find that purpose. And you can't be me and I can't be you. And you can't copy each other either. And that's why the word dam happens to be the same root in Hebrew as domeh, which means similar, and nidam, which means death. If you're going to copy somebody, you're dead. There's no room for copies here. God needs you to be you. God needs me to be me. We can inspire each other. But you got to find you, and I got to find me. But the essence is, that's because the essence of who we are is the fact we're created in God's image. That's the real you. Now let me show you something here. Watch this carefully, everybody. You're going to appreciate this. Watch this carefully. If I were to take the numerical value of Adam here. So I told you that Dalet is 4 and Mem is 40. That's 44, correct? Numerical value of Aleph is what? 1. So the numerical value of Adam is 45. Now 45 is an interesting number. Number 1 is the same numerical value as this word, which means ma. What does ma mean in Hebrew? What? 45. Ma, what? What am I going to be? What am I? What makes me different than you? What's my purpose in life? If you're not asking ma, what am I, you're not living. If you didn't wake up this morning and say, what am I doing here? Am I here just to go to school, get a good job, buy a nice house, drive a nice car, so that my kids could go to school and get a nice house, so their kids could go to school? Come on, what? Ma, what's it all about? The human being has to ask ma, what? What's going on? We've got to be somebody. Your job in this world is to become greater, to become more. That's why, by the way, if you turn the letters around over here and you put the mem first, what does this word spell? Mem aleph daled. What does mem aleph daled spell? Mi'od. What does mi'od mean? It means more. You got to become more. You have to become greater than who you are. That's your job. The word for animal in Hebrew is a bahema, which I won't write it out, but it means bahema. In it is what it is. An animal, a cow is born a cow. A dog is born a dog. You never look at your dog and you say, hey, look, enough eating off the floor over here. But your mother tells you all the time, hey, let's not use our fingers, come on, Because you got to be more. An animal doesn't. Because the human being is created in a way where God created us with potential, with His image inside of us, but we have to find our potential. That's why Adam happens to be the same root in Hebrew as what word? Adamah. As Adamah. What does Adamah mean? It means the dirt, the ground. Question, does ground have any real value? Adamah. Does ground have any real value? Dirt has any. What's the difference between the dirt on 51st and Lexington and the dirt in somewhere out in Nebraska? Any difference in the dirt? Same chemical property. Why is the dirt on 51st and Lexington worth $1 million per square foot, and the dirt in Nebraska is worth about 2 cents per square foot? Location. It's what you do with it. The value of dirt is dependent on you. The potential is there, but you have to turn it into something. So God is teaching us. I created you from the ground because ground represents potential. But you have to bring your potential out. Now, in the Hebrew language, it's so beautiful. If I vowel this word like this, it spells Adamah, which means ground. If I vowel it a little differently, and I spell it like this, I say Adameh. What does that mean? Adameh. Adameh means in Hebrew, I will be similar. I will be like. I will be domet. I will be just like. Who? I will be domet to the Aleph. I will be similar to God. That's your challenge. What are you going to be? Are you going to be dirt? Are you going to be similar to God? That's your free choice. So do you hear how the free choice of the human being is built into this word, Adama? But let me show you something even deeper than that. What did I say the numerical value of Adam was? 40? 45. What did I say the essence of the human being is? The fact that we're created with God's image on the inside. How do you say God's name in Hebrew? Don't say it for me, but what do we say? Hashem. I spell it like this, right? Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, correct? And we said, what's the numerical value of that? Yud is 10, Hey is 5, Vav is 6, and Hey is 5. It's 26, right? Now watch this. In Torah, the language of analysis, another way we analyze is we break down each word, each letter. Let's analyze it. If I were to spell out a Yud, I would spell it like this. Yud, Vav, Dalet. If I were to spell it the Hey, I would spell it Hey, Aleph, Hey, Aleph. If I were to spell the Vav, I would spell it like this. Vav, Aleph, Vav. If I were to spell the Hey, I would spell it Hey, Aleph. Everybody see that? We have do you see that, everybody? Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Okay? See what I did? All I did was I took each of the 4 letters of God's name and I spelled them out. Let's do a little numerical analysis of these letters. Watch this. What's the numerical value of Yud? 10. Good. Numerical value of 6? Of Vav? 6. Numerical value of Dalet? 4. What does that equal? 20. Numerical value of Hey? 5. Aleph? 6. That's a 6. Numerical value of Vav? 6. Aleph 1. Vav 6. That's 13. Numerical value of Hey? 5 plus 1 is 6. If we add that across, that's how it works. 6 plus 13 is what? 19. Plus 6 is? 24. 25 plus 20 is? 45. That's interesting. Because what's the numerical value of man? 45. What's the essence of the human being? That God is contained inside of us. And where is it contained? Inside of the letters of God. We find 45. My friends, coincidence or design? Did someone create this language? Or is it too intricate? Is it too specific? But it doesn't stop there. One more point on Adam. What really makes us different from the animal kingdom? Did you get that, everybody? Saw that? What makes us different from the animal kingdom? Yes?
We're able to choose right from wrong.
Beautiful. What's your first name again?
My name is Shlomo.
Shlomo. Yeah, I met you in Beit Gabriel, yeah?
Where?
Beit Gabriel. Queens? You came to Queens the other night, no? Yeah. We could choose between right and wrong. What's the vehicle that God gave us to analyze our lives?
Torah.
He gave us the Torah. Or I should say like this. What do we what's the relationship called with God whereby we can actually come to God and talk to God and discuss our lives with God and ask God for help and ask God for wisdom and ask God for everything we need? What's that called in Hebrew? Tefillah. Tefillah. True? I dare say what makes us different than the animal kingdom, first of all, we have free choice. But in order that we should utilize our free choice correctly, God allows us to have a relationship with Him to build ourselves and our relationship and thereby make the correct choices. So we have something called tefillah, which is called prayer. But really the word pilel in Hebrew, it means to judge. So when I come before God, and I ask God for what I need, I'm really judging myself. Litpalel is reflexive. I'm in the act of judging myself, And when I ask God, I say, God, listen, God, I need money, I need money. And what's in the back of my mind? I really want to buy that 2009 Lexus, If that's what's in the back of my mind, I might not get too far. Like, God, I'm before the Almighty, I'm before the Creator of the universe, and I'm asking for a car, like with the fancy leather seats. Like, when I come before God, I really have to analyze, why do I want money? God, I really need money. Listen, Baruch Hashem, I have a big family. We need space. The more space you have, the more peace you can have in the home. I want to be able to pay for tuitions. My kids need things. I want to be able to give charity. I like having a lot of Shabbos guests. Like, I need more money. Oh, God can say, listen, those are good reasons, right? So in the process of my request, I'm really analyzing myself, aren't I? That's why Pilel means judging oneself. And I do that before the Almighty, and I begin to build a relationship with God. And by building that relationship, I begin to understand a little bit how I can utilize my life for a proper purpose. That's the human being. Now here's my challenge to everybody. What's the whole premise of this talk tonight? The whole premise is that God took the Aleph Beit, took the Hebrew language, and from the Hebrew language constructed reality. That's to say, He took an Aleph, He took a Dalet, He took a Mem, and with that Aleph, Dalet, and Mem, He formed Adam. That's what it means. Baruch Sha'amar B'hai Olam. It's not a joke. Baruch Sha'amar, blessed the one who spoke, and the world came into existence. Adam, God said these three letters, and there was the man. That's how it worked. That's how creation came to being. That means everything you have to know about the human being will be contained in that Aleph, Dalet, and Mem. And I think I've shown that to you a little bit tonight, right? I showed you that we have something spiritual, we have something physical, that the Dam comes from the parents, that inside it's 45, it's the same numerical value of God Himself. But let me ask you a question, and this is where I'm bothered. And you got to help me with this, because if the essence of the human being, what makes us different than all other animals, is that we can have a relationship with God through tefillah, being mitpalel, prayer. If I can't show you that word, that concept is contained in the Aleph, the Dalet, the Mem, I haven't proven to you anything. Because the DNA, right, in a gene has to teach you everything you need to know about the organism. If I can't show you that prayer is built in, if I can't show you that prayer is built into this system, into these three letters, I haven't proved anything to you tonight. Is everybody ready for this? You're watching carefully? Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Let's see if we can discover that the essence of the human being is prayer. How do you say prayer in Hebrew? Say it to me. Tefillah. In Hebrew we say lehit palel. If we were to say what does the human being? We're mit palel. Mit palel means a person the act of judging oneself or praying. Right? You spell mit palel like this. Mit palel. Okay? Now watch carefully, everybody. Look at this. How do you say the human being? Adam. Let's write out these letters. How do you spell Aleph? Spell Aleph with me, somebody. Aleph, Lamed, Te. Spell Dalet with me. Dalet, Lamed, Taf. Spell Mem with me. Mem, Mem. Now, if I'm going to take the first three letters, of course, it spells Adam, right? Obviously, logically. But now watch this. Spell these letters backwards. Mitpalel. Do you see that? Mitpalel. The essence of the human being is that we have a relationship with God through prayer. Adam, mitpalel. Almost in the exact order, except for one lam is out of place. Mitpalel. Coincidence or design? Pretty nice coincidence. Let's go on. Okay, let's take a look at a few more concepts before we go to another letter. Who can define love for me? Someone define love. What's that? Giving to somebody? Good. What's that? To give up your life, to sacrifice? Okay, yeah, good. Yeah. Caring unconditionally, nice. Ladies? Love? Tell me what love is. I was once lecturing, I gave this lecture at a campus one time. I think it was at Pace University. So I said, what's love? So they weren't so sophisticated like everybody here. So one guy got up, he goes, Rabbi, he says, love is a 4-letter word. Another person said, love is just a second-hand emotion. I didn't know what that meant. And then this other guy goes up and he goes, she loves you, yeah. I said, yeah. Okay, right. Let's see if we can do a little better than what we did at this particular campus, okay? What's the word for love? Good. The root of the here is ahov. Okay? Ahov. Ahov means love. Let's see if we can analyze it a little bit, what love is. We'll do a simple analysis, then we'll do a more in-depth analysis. Simple analysis. Numerical value of Aleph. 1. Good. Numerical value of base. Aleph, Beit, 2. Remember we said that every word has not only a numerical value, it also has a meaning. Aleph, the champion. Beit, bite, house. Gimel, gamal, camel. Dalet, delet, door. Hey, what does hey mean? Hey, what the letter hey, what does it mean? It's a little hard. But remember I told you one of our tricks? One of our tricks, or one of our points of analysis, is when a letter begins the root of a word in the Torah for the first time, that word will teach you the meaning of that letter. When the letter begins the root of a word for the first time in the Torah, that word will teach you the meaning of the letter. Now, hey, there are 2 times that we see hey. One is where it says hayta, which means existence. But the time we see hey really used as a verb itself is in Parshat Vayigash, last week's Parsha. When the brothers came down to Egypt, and Yosef says to his servants, hey lechem zera. And if you look on the side of the Targum Onkelos, you know what hey means? It means hav, which means give. The letter hey means give. And that's why it also is the first time it uses the Hebrew language, you see it's hayta, which means existence. Hayta means was or is, exists. Because the essence of existence is that God is constantly giving into the world. If God were to cease giving for a moment, would there be a universe? No. Hey means give. So look at the word love. What do you see the word love? What does it mean? The essence of love is what? When one gives to 2. One gives to the other. How do you know when you love somebody? Because you want to give to them. How do you build love? By giving to them. Who loves more? Does the what? You know, it says that if you want to like somebody, you don't like them, you know what you should do? Give to them. Give to them. Give them a present, because you'll start investing in them. You'll see you and them. Who loves more? Does the child love the parent more, or does the parent love the child more? The parent loves the child more. I'm sorry to tell you, because it's the reason is because obviously the parent invests years and years and years on giving, and children invest years of taking. Look, I don't want to say how old I am, but I'm old enough to been around this world enough to tell you that I spent many years receiving from my parents. They give and give, and I have children. Baruch Hashem, I have 6 children, and they don't appreciate how much I give to them. But the more you give, the more you love, and that's how you generate love. And perhaps the reason most marriages fail today, 65%, unfortunately, is because people really go into marriage of what can I get out of this. And people go into marriage and say, what can I give? I guarantee you have a lot more success. But let's go a little deeper. Let me ask you a question. What do you think what type of gift do you think builds love deeper? The following choices. Choice A. You know, like I'm always going to say like this. Choice A is going to be the house out in Kings Point, with the 2009, Maserati. With the 100-inch screen television set, like with the marble kitchen counters, marble floors, these fancy chandeliers. What's going to build love more? Those gifts to your spouse, or saying to your spouse, I have a word of Torah I want to share with you.
The third second.
I want together that we should keep Shabbat together, keep Shabbos together. You know, together, like let's learn something together. Let's open up the Parsha together and let's share it. What do you think is going to build love more?
Learning.
Okay, I know you agree with me, but I want you to show me in those 3 letters why that is so. Remember, these 3 letters are the DNA of creation. Everything you need to know about love is right there. So tell me why when you give a spiritual gift, it builds a deeper connection than when you give a physical gift. Show me in these 3 letters. What did I say hey means? Give. What did I say base means? The other. What does aleph always mean? Something connected to. When you give the other, an aleph, when you give the other a connection to the spiritual, when you bring God deeper into the other's life, you give it to Torah. Together you build a Jewish home. Together you raise Jewish children. Together we can accomplish a connection with God that we couldn't do by ourselves. When that's the basis of the marriage. You give to base, you give to the other in aleph, a spiritual connection. Connection with the transcendence. Oh boy, then you're going to have love. You know, and I dare say, perhaps, you know, again, like, you know, maybe the reason we have 65% divorce rate is because people are giving their spouses the wrong things. It's not the car that makes her happy. Right? It's not the marble kitchen that, you know, makes her happy. Right, girls? Am I right? Guys, it's not you. What's going to be happy also is that she says to you, look, I really, you know, let's build a home together. What's going to make you happy is together you're going to give each other an aleph. You're going to get closer to that aleph. That's the real connection. That's the real gift. If you have that, you can have love. You know, we could take it one step deeper and we can see something very interesting. You know, if you analyze the aleph, you break it down. It spells this word: El, Pei. El, Pei. El in Hebrew means one of the names of God. It means power. Like Lavan says, Yesh lekel biyadi. There's power in my hand. Pei. What does the letter Pei mean in Hebrew? Pei is a mouth. What does a mouth do? What's the job of a mouth? What's my mouth been doing all night over here? The job of a mouth is to express out. Peh, to express. So it's interesting. One of the names of God, by the way, is power expressed. God is called in the Zohar Alufo Sha'olam. He's constantly empowering the universe, expressing out his power. So listen to this. What do we say the letter Hey means? It means give. What does the letter Beit mean? Beit means? Well, first time we see the Torah is bara. It means to create. Beit is a house. Beit always has to do with the aspect of creating. So it's interesting, the word love, if you analyze it, when one expresses one's power, peh, you express your el, you express your power through giving, what do you create? Love. Expressing power through giving creates love. That creates a love. So simple. It's much easier than a 4-letter word, second-hand emotion. You just have to know the Lashon HaKodesh. Just to know the Holy Tongue. It's also interesting, by the way, the numerical value of love, the noun, if I take the noun, it's ahava. Ahava, aleph is 1, hey is 5, base is 2, and 5, what's the numerical value? 10 plus 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. It's the same numerical value as echad. What does echad mean? 1. Because the essence of love is that 2 fuse to be 1. Coincidence or design? Let's look at a few more things over here. Having a good time? You enjoying yourself? Yeah. Having fun, everybody? I'm having fun, okay? I'm having a great time. This is so much fun. Okay, let's see here. What is the female letter? There's a female letter and a male letter. What is the female letter?
Men.
The female letter happens to be, girls, this letter here, called Gimel.
Camel?
Gimel. What does Gimel mean? Gimel means a camel. That's right, a gamal. A camel. Now, why is that the female letter? Let's analyze it for a second. Gimel actually means, what does it mean, Gomel Chasadim? What does Gomel Chasadim mean? Gomel Chasadim means kindness, giving. Right, Gomel means to give. Kindness, Gomel. To give. That's interesting. Gomel means to give. Well, let me ask you a question about giving, everybody. In the laws of Jewish charity, what's the greatest gift you can give? 10%. 10% is the minimal gift. What's the greatest gift you can give somebody? Not the minimal gift. 10% is a nice gift. 10% is a nice part of your income. It's a big test. I shouldn't say that. 10% is a very important gift. But if you're going to help somebody, the Rambam sets it up like this. The Rambam says like this. What's the greatest act of charity? To give money or to set the guy up in his own business?
Set him up for his own business.
Why?
Because this way it's much.
Because you create self-sufficiency, and self-sufficiency produces self-respect. Correct. The greatest gift you can give is to help somebody to be independent. You know, if I have my little 4-year-old is teaching him to ride a 2-wheel bicycle. So what do I do when he's riding his 2-wheel bicycle? You know what I do? You put him on the bicycle, and he starts pedaling and pedaling and pedaling. And what do you do as a parent? No, you start running after him. You run after him. And then you're holding him, then hopefully you let go, and you're like, oh, you close your eyes, and you hope he's going to, but you have to run after him. That's how you do it. That's how you teach a 4-year-old to ride a 2-wheel bicycle. So I have to run. Question, I have an 18-year-old also. She's in Israel. Supposing my 18-year-old gets on her bicycle, I say to her, 1 second, honey, I'm going to run after you. What have I just done to her? I probably sent her to many years of therapy, right? I dare say it's a guaranteed prescription for many years of psychoanalysis. Why? Because the whole purpose of a parent is we're trying to give to create independence. What says that? My time's up? My time's up? 10 minutes. Okay. The whole purpose of a parent, I'm on a roll. Just getting going. Have a good time. Have a good time. The whole purpose of a parent is to, a few more examples. The whole purpose of a parent is to create independence. But look at this. Gamal means give. But look at the words. Gimel gamal is to give. What does mal mean in Hebrew? What's milah? Milah means to cut, to separate. True. Look at this. What's the true act of giving? Give until the other is separate from you. Give to the point where you can create self-sufficiency. Gamal. Now that's interesting. Look at a camel. Why is a camel the essence of kindness? What does kindness have to do with a camel? How many days can a camel go without water? 40 days. A camel can be self-sufficient. The greatest act of giving is to give to the point of self-sufficiency. True? That's a female quality. The job of a woman is to take a child, is nurture the child, so the child can be independent, not dependent. Right? Not guilty and not, but to be independent. That's why the gimel happens to be the female letter. Now, watch with me carefully, everybody. What gimel is the female letter? Let's put it over here. What's the male letter? What's that? Yeah, I know Israelis are going to tell me to laugh, but don't laugh at this. There's a slang in Hebrew. The male letter happens to be this. It's a Zion. Zion. In Israeli slang, but let me explain to you in Lashon HaKodesh what it means. Zion actually means a sword. It means a sword. The job of the man is to basically go out in the world and to earn a living. Earning your bread, earning our bread, is a war, it's a fight. Zion also means zan, which means to nourish, to provide. The job of man is to go out there and wage war against all of the economy and everything he has to do in order to nourish his family, true? First time you see the Zion in the Torah, where is it? It's by the word zera. What does zera mean? Seed. A man supplies the seed, a woman takes the seed and nurtures and develops a child, so the child's independent of her. Zion is the male letter. Gimel is the female letter. What's the letter of connection in Hebrew? What is the letter that means to connect something? Well, in Hebrew it's a vav. A vav in Hebrew means and, connection. Vav also means hook. Find the first time you see a vav in the Torah where it begins the root of a word is vavei ha-mishkan. The hooks of the Mishkan. Vav is a hook. It even looks like a hook. right? The vav, the physical description of a hook, it looks like this, right? That's a vav. Vav is a hook. It means and. It's the letter of connection. Question, how do you say a married couple in Hebrew? Zug. Can it be anything else? Can it be anything else? If Zayin is the male letter, Gimel is the female letter, and Vav is the letter of connection, what's a married couple? A Zayin connected to the Gimel. Zug. Question. What's the word for truth in Hebrew? Good, it's the name of your organization. Emet Vamun, it's the name of my organization, Emet, right? Emet. Let's look at Emet for a moment. Emet means truth. Why are these three letters the perfect description of truth? Emet.
They all stand on two legs.
Good, beautiful. Number one, they happen to all stand on two legs. Good. Truth has to stand firmly. Sheker, which means falseness, is written like this. Right? Just one leg. Falseness has one leg. Truth has two. What's another description of truth that we see in this word? Truth happens to be, Aleph is the first letter of the alphabet, Mem is the middle letter of the alphabet, and Tuf is the last letter. If you see one part of the story, is that the truth? Or is truth seeing beginning, middle, and end? Truth is having the whole picture. What's the difficulty about seeing God's truth in this world? Problem is what? We're only looking at a little piece. A little part of the story. When we get the whole story opened up, we'll see the real truth. That's interesting. Now, it's interesting. Another thing you see about it is you see the word aim, which means mother, and you see mate, which means death. Another thing we know about truth is that we're born from a mother, we're going to die. If I'm going to take the aleph out of emet, what do I have? Mate. If I take an aleph out of the world, is the world going to live? Is there going to be survival in this world? No. Death, no existence. But let's look at the numerical value. What's the numerical value of aleph? 1. Numerical value of mem? 40, good. Numerical value of tuf? Now, there's something, not 45, no. There's something close. In Hebrew, we have what's called the mispar katan. The gematria katan means like this. You can add without the zeros. Add this across. 4 plus 0 plus 0 plus 4 plus 1 equals 9. See that 441? Got that? 441. Add it together. You get 8 plus 1 is 9. Okay. 9. What's special with number 9? Let's analyze 9 for one moment. What's 9 times 1? 9 times 2. What's 1 plus 8? 9 plus 3. 9 times 3.
27.
27 plus 2 equals 7. 9. 9 times 4. 6 plus 3. 9. 9 times 5. 4 plus 5. 9 times 6. 5 times 4. 9 times 7. 6 plus 3. 9 times 8. 7 plus 2. 9 times 9. 8 plus 1. 9. 9 times 10. 90. 9 times 11. 99. 9 plus 9, 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 times any number will always come back to the 9. Do you believe me? Is that true? Give me a number. Anybody, give me a number. 36? Oh, come on. 36. What's 9 times 6? 54? 9 times 3 is 27 plus 5 is 32? 3 plus 2 plus 4 is? 5 plus 4 is 9. Yeah, it works. Good. Okay, good. 9 times any number will always be 9. Now, the reason why the numerical value of truth is 9 is because... I'm busy. I'm teaching. If something is true, it doesn't matter what form or shape it's in. You'll find the truth. You'll find it. 9 is a very important number for us. And that's why, let me show you something very interesting about 9. You know, the word Shabbat, look at Shabbat. What does Shabbat testify about? What truths does Shabbat testify about? That God is the creator of the universe, number 1, and is actively involved in his creation, number 2. What's the numerical value of Shin? 300, good. Base? 2. Tough? 400. Add it together, what do you get? 702. Add it together, what do you get? 9. Interesting. And, okay? Wherever you see truth, you will see 9. Now let me just end with one example. One example here. Well, first of all, I have to show you this, by the way. I just have to show you 2 more examples, then we'll stop, okay? Zach, 2 more examples? 2 more examples. I love this one. This one I love. I love this one. You know, the letter Kuf. What does the letter Kuf mean? Kuf. Kuf is a monkey. It looks like a monkey, doesn't it? Kuf. It's a monkey. Kuf is a monkey. Why? Remember the premise of this talk tonight. God took the 22 letters. He created 22 letters. These 22 letters he formed, and from these 22 letters he created reality. Why is one of the primordial building blocks of creation a letter that means a monkey? Because monkeys are what?
Monkeys are smart.
Monkeys are smart. Well, are monkeys smart or do monkeys imitate?
They imitate.
Monkey see monkey.
Do.
Monkeys imitate, don't they? Interesting. You know, as Jews, we don't believe, I'll tell you a secret. It's not a secret, it's obvious. We don't believe in evolution. What we do believe in is de-evolution. De-evolution means that it could be that when a human being doesn't act like a soul, but just acts like a body, you know who he's similar to? He's similar to a monkey. In other words, the monkey looks so human-like. They're so cute. Ever go to the Bronx Zoo? I was at the Bronx this summer with my children. They're so cute. They're, what's that? Bronx. The Bronx. I'm sorry, I went to the Bronx. I live in Queens. But, I went to the Bronx. They actually look like people. They take their babies, and they hold their babies, and they chase each other, and they hit each other. But, they look so human, which is why we like to watch them. But they're not human. Do they have free choice? Does a monkey have free choice? Does a monkey have free choice? No.
Depends if they support abortion or not.
No, you ask if they support abortion, right? He doesn't have free choice to decide. A monkey is what the human being is not supposed to be. The monkey is the animal in you and me. But the animal isn't the I. What's the real I is the soul. Question. How do you say a righteous person in Hebrew? Tzaddik. What makes it tzaddik?
A lot of things.
Tell me what's the mate? If you give me one definition of a tzaddik, what would that be? Mordechai. Okay, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. But give me a definition. Give me a definition. What would you say?
Charity.
Charity is good. Good. Tshuva is good.
Anything that can be defined as helping others.
Helping others is good. Well, I'll tell you a secret. Everything you're telling me is true. But you know what the common denominator is of all of them? It's difficult to give charity. You know why? It's mine. Like, I don't want to help you. I want to take care of me. Right? I don't want to get up early right now. I want to sleep. Like, I don't want to learn right now. I just want to relax. Right? Like, I feel angry. I want to be angry. I don't want to control it. You know what makes it tzaddik? Is that they control themselves. They conquer themselves. That's what makes it tzaddik. No one's born a tzaddik, by the way. You become a tzaddik by conquering the animal in you. I have an animal in me that says, look, I want to eat. I don't want you to share with me. I want it. I have an animal in me that says, I want it for myself. I have an animal in me that says, I want to get angry. But you know what? What makes a righteous person, listen carefully, is that you control your animal. You trap your animal. You control it. You harness your monkey. Look at this. The word for tzaddik. Tzadi, Daled, Kuf. The letter Kuf means what? Monkey. The 2-letter root Sad in Hebrew, what does it mean? Sad and Shabbos, Latsud means to trap or to hunt. A tzad is a side. The way you make a trap is you put sides around it. What's someone who's righteous? Someone who traps and controls their monkey. They control the animal in them. They're not ruled by the animal. They control the animal. That's a tzaddik. And I'll show you something. Someone who's kadosh, even higher, holy. Oy. Kadosh. He's kuf dash. Dash in Hebrew means to trample. He tramples his monkey. The tzaddik controls it. The kadosh tramples it. But a Amalek, who's Amalek? Who's Amalek? Amalek is the nation that represents all of the evil in the world. If I spell out the word Amalek, I spell it like this. Amal, Amalek spells Amal, which means the toil, the work of the monkey. What makes them evil is they act like animals. They don't let the soul rule them. They're ruled by the animals that they are. Beautiful. You see the connection? One last example, everybody. I'm going to quote you now a Zohar. How did we say God created reality? He spoke the letters, and the world came into existence. Baruch she'amar v'ha'olam. Davar means word, davar means thing, right? God spoke, and through speaking came reality. If you're a magician, and you want to create something from nothing, what do you say?
Abracadabra.
Abraca. How do you say it in Russian?
Abracadabra.
How do you say it in Bukharian? How do you say it in Kavkazi? How do you say Kavkazi? You know, it's interesting. In every language, I've asked this question many times, in every language in the world, the way a magician will always say, I'm going to create something from nothing, which is very hard. It's called creation ex nihilo. The only time it's ever been done was when God created the world. He created something from nothing, and he did it through the world of speech, correct? That's the premise of this talk tonight. What's the word that we say? Abracadabra. Let me quote to you from Sefer Yetzirah. Sefer Yetzirah is one of the oldest works that we have in Kabbalah. It's attributed to no other than Abraham, Avram Avinu. We have it in our Kabbalistic literature called Sefer Yetzirah. It's closed to me. I don't understand it, but this I have seen. Avram describes how God created the world. Listen to what he writes. Kodesh Baruch Hu said, Adabra. Adabra, Kudabra. Which means, Adabra, I shall create, Abara, sorry, I read it wrong, sorry. Kodesh Baruch Hu said, like this, Hashem said, Abara, Kudabra, which means, I shall create as I speak. Abara Kadabra. Abra Kadabra. It's interesting that in every language we still retain that vestige of the original words of creation. And we haven't forgotten it. We don't realize what we're saying. We're actually quoting the Zohar, which is describing how God brought the world into existence. My friends, that's your language, it's my language. It's Lashon HaKodesh. It's a holy language. It's a unique language. It's the building blocks of creation. The more you understand it, the more you can understand God, you can understand Torah, you can understand you can understand life. Trying to understand Torah, trying to understand God's world without the holy tongue is literally like trying to swim without water or trying to breathe without air. If you don't know the Hebrew language, things just don't make sense. You have to know the language. From the language, you can understand reality. And a lot of questions fall off because you're getting to the root of what's really there. It's oftentimes the English translation that causes us to be so confused. You know, I'll tell you one just last example. I just have to say it. You know, the word for punishment. Do you like the word punishment in Hebrew? In English, punishment, does it ring with you? Punishment? No. In Hebrew, the word is onish. Onish. You know, ayin in Hebrew means an eye. To look, to think with your eye. Nash in Hebrew means to fall back. So you know what punishment means? Look, discover, realize that you've fallen back. When God brings pain to your life, it's because He loves you. He wants you to realize you've fallen. That's onish. So when I hear that word in Hebrew, in the Holy Pen, I understand how God tried to communicate to me out of love. When I hear the word in English, punishment, I get scared and turned off. If you don't know the Hebrew language, you're not communicating with God in the way God wants us to communicate with Him. We've got to know this language, everybody. It's your language, it's my language. It's been passed down for the last 5,769 years since the beginning of creation. And we're a very special people that we are the inheritors of this ability to connect to God through this language. Thank you for listening to me, everybody. Enjoy talking to you.